Hey everybody, this is Frank with For the Old Breed, the podcast, and today I'm here with my friend Frank Villareal.
That's right.
Right? Hey man, thanks for being on the podcast.
Appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah man, I saw some of the stuff that you were putting on, Facebook. I was like, man, this guy's, interesting. He thinks, listen, even if we don't agree, it's, your mind is working. So tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you were in the Marine Corps. So tell us about the Marine Corps.
Okay, yeah. I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Almost didn't go over an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I enlisted at 17, so I had to get both my parents to sign.
Mm-hmm.
They told me that I couldn't go into any combat arms stuff, so I ended up being an 0121, which is now obsolete, but it was a personnel Marine.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much that meant I was going to be a pogue. I was going to push paper. And, I went through recruit training, graduate recruit training, went through Marine Corps combat training over at Camp Lejeune, which is just like a shortened version of what the SOI guys do, the School of Infantry.
Mm-hmm.
And finished that, and then I reported right down the road to a place called Camp Johnson. It's just like one of the sub-camps within Camp Lejeune.
Mm-hmm.
And, did my personnel course there. It was pretty fast. It's not a long school, very, very simple stuff. And while I was there, they actually let us pick where we would get orders. So this was wartime Marine Corps. So there was pretty much spots everywhere.
Yeah,
you could go anywhere. You could just, and this is Marine Corps. We don't typically get a choice and stuff, but this was one of the few times that I got a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So the funny story behind how I got my orders was that the gunnery sergeant said, she said, "Hey Marines," it was a female gunnery sergeant. And she says, "I'm going to go down this list and I'm going to call out duty stations and you raise your hands now, and then I'll put little check marks, and if I have enough positions," she's going to base it off of grades, like if it's more Marines than slots that they have, she'll pick that way. So she starts on this list, and she starts off with Camp Lejeune, and then all these 17, 18, 19-year-olds are like, you can kind of hear them mumbling amongst themselves, saying like, "Oh hey, I'm gonna get Camp Lejeune." They raise their hand. He's like, "Be close to my girlfriend. We're out. I'm from Virginia or whatever." Everybody wanted to stay close to home, and to me it was like, obviously I joined because my country needed me during a time of war, but at the same time it was trying the Marine Corps to travel. I wanted to travel.
Yeah.
So she goes down this list, goes Camp Lejeune, she goes Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, that's over there in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. She kind of worked her way west, and she goes, "All right, Marines, I got two more." And she goes, "Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii." And I remember I'm like, no, I can't do this. I didn't raise my hand, and there was a part of me that thought like, man, watch her say somewhere like really lame for the last one, and like Kaneohe Bay was like my one shot to go somewhere really cool.
Yeah.
She goes, she said Okinawa, Japan. Like my hand shot up. That was what I wanted. I wanted to go to Japan. That was the last one on the list. It was like maybe 4 of us that raised our hands for that. Nobody else wanted to go to Japan. I ended up same day sent us the medical, get our Japanese shots that we had to get before we go over there, and within a few weeks I was on a bird on my way to Okinawa, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to be there for a year, and I ended up being there for a year. But back then they were saying that it was going to be they were giving us the option to do it, more options, right, in the Marine Corps. They said 2 years. If you want to do 2 years unaccompanied, which I wasn't married at the time, you can do that. And all of my 18-year-old intelligence, I said no. So I did my year, and I ended up getting sent to Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort, which is right down the road from Parris Island, which is where I went to boot camp.
Yeah. I grew up in Hilton Head, so we used to play the Parris Island. I never knew that it was Parris Island, but I think you guys were the Redskins, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. But that was a long time ago. It's a different time now. I don't even think the Redskins are the Redskins anymore.
I don't know.
I think they changed their name, dude.
What did they change it to?
I don't know, but I heard they're no longer the Redskins.
That's wild.
Which, whatever, fuck. We could get into that rabbit hole, but I don't even want to think about it. So, all right, so go ahead. So, I'm sorry.
All right, so no. So yeah, I remember. So I went from. I was a little bit like nervous going back to the stateside. I'd heard a bunch of stories about how overseas, OCONUS is always. Everyone's a lot more tight knit. You spend the holidays together. Everyone's just tighter. You go back stateside, people have cars. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
The enlisted club is kind of like lame. Nobody goes to the enlisted club stateside. Which me, I was young, single. So I was on the weekends. I was PTing in the morning, doing my thing, and then at night I'd go out and have fun with the guys.
Yeah.
But so I remember pulling into Marine Corps Station Buford, and it was a big difference, right? It was like a Saturday night, and I remember Saturday night in Okinawa, you'd see lights, you'd see all these like honchos, which are the cabs.
Yeah.
I call them honchos. And you'd see all these honchos with Marines jumping in and out, and there, you'd see a couple of drunk Marines stumbling back in the barracks, and you'd see all these fresh Marines getting in, they're getting ready to go out and get drunk.
Yeah.
And going to Marine Corps Station Buford, I remember showing up, dead as a doorknob, no movement. I don't know if there was a deployment going on or what it was, but I remember thinking, man, like, what the heck, man? Like, this is just going to be the next 2.5 years are going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I got past that. I met a lot of good Marines. My billet at the personnel center was actually at that point was canked. They had too many Marines.
Mm.
So they sent me to work for the squadron gunnery sergeant, a man named Nicholas Ballou, gunnery sergeant Nicholas Ballou.
Mm-hmm. Good NCO.
Oh, amazing! He's an amazing staff NCO. He was a sniper, drill instructor.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the guy was, and I remember when I figured it out, because I remember asking my older brother. He had this 550 cord with a it looked like a 7.62 or something. I don't know. It was a while back, but he had this 550 cord with this bullet, and his campaign cover was sitting on the wall, and like the guy was just hardcore. Like he was this. He was like he was just like a hexagon trying to go into a square peg at the air station. Like this guy was not like by any stretch an air winger. Like he just wasn't cut out for that air station. He was too gung ho, too like this guy was a Marine, believed in taking care of his Marines.
Yeah, of course.
It was great. I mean, I ended up getting what I wanted. I came back as being a little bit of a motard from Okinawa, and I got just that. But this guy ended up taking care of me.
So he was like a good mentor to you.
He was great mentor. He had me PT in hardcore. He had me and it was only a lot of the married Marines and all that, they would PT on their own. It was just so lax. But when I got sent to him, it was like, no, we're gonna go running. We're gonna go on ruck march. And it was just him and I at first.
That's like life in the light infantry unit, man. That's what we do, like I said, bread and butter. So yeah, it's amazing to see that, man. I love it. Like that's what I miss is just getting up in the fucking morning and go ruck marching or just do something hard,
Which, for me, it was, more so playing Marine. I mean, in comparison to what a lot of the infantry guys did and whatnot.
It don't matter, man. You were still doing the job. It doesn't matter. You did your part. It's fine, man. I'm sorry. So let's kind of push forward to like Jiu Jitsu, man, because I know you did Jiu Jitsu. And but you were in Afghanistan too. We talked about that earlier.
Yep. So yeah, that same gunnery sergeant, I knew I was kind of on the fence about staying in the Marine Corps, getting out, and I decided, I joined the Marine Corps during time of war. Like I need to try to get orders. I need to try to make this happen. So whether I stay in or go, I need to go in this enlistment. I need to go overseas.
Yeah.
My older brother, he was in the Army. He had already gone to Iraq in 2003. He was actually in the convoy that pushed forward, that was pushing into Iraq, which I was in boot camp when he was doing that.
What, you know what unit he was with, or what?
He was 3rd ID. I don't know specifically, like, down to, like, I don't know what battalion, regiment, or anything like that he was in. But
we were attached to 3rd ID.
Okay, yeah, he was definitely 3rd ID. He was on one of those flat front, there's pictures of him in these flat front trucks. They had, like, the old school body armor with the weird...
Those fucking Humvees, man. They had nothing, man. It was just like a little thin piece of metal, man.
Nothing like what I had. Like, we had up-armored stuff. I mean, it was...
Bro, we drove MATVs, so that compared to that piece of shit those guys drove into, it's amazing. Like, I went into our company, and there was, like, probably, like, 26, 27 names, and all those guys got fucking blown up in Iraq, man. They're all, like, 20 young guys, man. Like, corporals... privates, young sergeants. It's really sad, man. It really wakes you up,
It does. You get a lot of perspective. I think, in terms of that, it hit close to home with me. We had a what kind of backtracking to when I was in Okinawa. My company commander over there, he had been an augment. He got sent to Iraq. His name was Captain Sean Brock. and he was killed over in Iraq. Maybe a few months. I think February of 2005, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm getting that right, because I don't want to do his memory a disservice.
But he got blown up? Or?
He did. When he was, I want to say he was on Blue Diamond, Camp Blue Diamond. And again, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that he was in that region. And his wife, what made that story really sad for me, and kind of, because we knew, I mean, these were very personable Marines. I mean, it was Captain Brock, their office was like in the barracks and everything, so we'd see them all the time if we were on duty on the weekends. He'd stop by, throw a football with us and whatever. Like, he was a good guy. Like,
he was a good dude. Yeah, of course.
Prior enlisted, so he was a Mustang.
Yeah.
His wife was a Navy. I want to say she was a Navy nurse. She did like 90% sure she was Navy medical. And this was around the same time that they had the tsunami. I want to say in Indonesia.
Yeah, I remember that.
So she was busy with that, and then Captain Brock, he what happened to him over there. And I remember that was probably that's when it first really hit me, like what the Marine Corps is. Because I mean, being an 0121, being a personnel guy, you're kind of disconnected from a lot of that. I mean, we're more of a support element.
Yeah.
So you're disconnected from that, but that's when it really became real for me at 18 years of age. You realize this is serious business. I mean, we go out, we have fun and do all these things. We do our day-to-day, office jobs, but like there's really people out there that were supporting that were like doing the thing,
Yeah, man.
But anyways, no, yeah. So Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah, Jiu Jitsu, man. Jiu Jitsu, that's something we have in common,
So, Jiu Jitsu.
Because, look, you were in the Marine Corps, so Marine Corps, and then you do Jiu Jitsu. I think, this podcast, too, is done for, like, the veterans, the guys that, we have, I think, the highest rates of suicide.
We do. What is it, 22? It went up from 22. I want to say it's more than that now.
Yeah, something like that, man. So, I think we owe it to all the veterans, especially the guys that are having problems, to find out about this beautiful sport we call Jiu Jitsu, for guys that have issues to do Jiu Jitsu, because it does, it gives you that camaraderie that you were missing. A lot of the guys, I think most veterans, that's the number one thing, is you miss the camaraderie because you don't have it here in the civilian world, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think you're 100% correct. It gives you a sense of belonging, which, a lot of us maybe subliminally craved it once we got out. Some of us become cops, paramedics and whatnot. Some of us just go work the 9 to 5, and then later on we have that moment like, hey, like I miss that. Like you just wake up one day and you miss it, or you're having a rough time, or like in my case, I'm actually in the middle of my second divorce right now. So for me, that's how I got into it.
I know, dude.
That's how I got into it, and I kind of joke around. I say that I got my white belt from my soon-to-be ex-wife. That's how I got my white belt. So she gave me my white belt. And it's been life-changing. I have a lot to learn. So much to learn. It's something new every day. It's a lot of humbling. It's a lot of because you got to think. We're guys that went to boot camp. Some of us were staff NCOs. You have a lot of commissioned officers or warrant officers that do this, and you might be rolling. You might have like a brown belt that's got out of the Marine Corps or Army as a corporal or specialist, and they're rolling with like a white belt that's like a colonel or something that. It's a very humbling thing. It's a very, and it's you learn so much from it. I have no complaints about it, really. It's when they say that jiu-jitsu saves lives, like I think it does in so many ways. It's not just a two-dimensional thing. It might be that guy that's on the edge, that it might be a physical thing. Like that guy or girl might be having some not so good thoughts. Or it could be that guy that was 300 pounds and they took on jiu-jitsu, and they got inspired and dropped weight. I know I've actually met a couple of guys that have done that, and one of them now, I'm not gonna embarrass him, but one of them now, he's like this fitness coach and does nutrition, and like there's the guy's a machine. Like he's a tank, and it's awesome to see kind of like where somebody started even just a year ago and see where they're at now,
Listen, there's levels to Jiu Jitsu, man. Like I said, I did it, been doing it for 20 years, but my son, he just, he took it to the next level. But I think there's definitely a lot of similarities between military and Jiu Jitsu, and I think that's why so many veterans are attracted to. As far as you talking about a divorcement, there's a lot of guys out there that's what they do. They self delete. I don't want to say too much that word because the algorithm and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the self delete guys, they're usually going through a divorce. I know when I was going through a divorce, I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought about it.
The thoughts they come there, and it's not even like something that you like say, oh hey, like it's not cognizant. It just pops in there like a what if type.
Yeah,
thing.
like just finish it all, man. Like.
But for me, it's. I remember my first day on the mats. Like I got smashed. I got smashed by a purple belt. Her name's Alicia Kimsey, and she.
Oh, I know her.
She's fantastic on the mats. She grabbed me. I don't even know how it happened, but she ended up taking my back, which is, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, of course.
Put me in a rear naked choke, and that was one. It was humbling.
Yeah.
Very, very humbling, but two, it was like, and I don't know if this sounds crazy, but I was like, I like it. I like this. Like, this was cool. So now I have to, like, and then, now I have to figure out how to avoid this. How do I stop this from happening again? And that for me, that's kind of what the approach that I've taken with jiu-jitsu. How do I prevent this? How do I change this? How do I get out of this? How do I, I learned early on you can't muscle. Muscling is just, you deoxygenate and you end up a lot more tired, and when you're a white belt, I mean, obviously the higher you get, you're on the mats longer for especially during comps. But, at 5 minutes when you're a white belt and you're muscling and you're deoxygenating your muscles and you have bad cardio, which I didn't have. I love PT, man. So I'm like, that's like.
No, you look like you're in good shape.
Yeah, man. I thank you. I love PT. So for me, it wasn't. People say cardio's not important, or that it's that it doesn't, that you gain your cardio on the mats, and I'm not going to disagree. Everyone's journey is different. It's kind of what I'm learning. But for me, it's not necessarily the cardio more so than it was like the deoxygenating my muscles and learning how to control that. That adrenaline dump that you get when you step on the mats against somebody, especially when it's someone bigger. A lot of Professor Brent Hamilton's people. There's some big boys over there. And those guys, they're good. Brent Hamilton's teaching them really, really good stuff out there. Like he's. I mean, they're awesome. They're tanks up there. So
how to take your time too, take your time in jiu-jitsu. Not like you said, yeah, that's what happens. Whatever white belt stuff, you just burn all that energy instead of just breathing and just relaxing and just slowing everything down in your mind, and your technique. Listen, you're gonna have to come out to Mansuda. We'll do a light roll. I don't really roll that much anymore. I try to roll more with the kids because I've just got a lot of injuries from being in the Army. My back's two kinds of fucked up and I've got some TBI, so whatever, man. I'm just shot. My body's shot, so I just don't. I'm 49, dude. I'm going against like a fucking 24-year-old, 25-year-old fucking white belt. He's ready to kill.
Right, ready to kill.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, I just want to chill, man. You know what I'm saying? I just want to learn. I mean, obviously, I still love to do it, but listen. What's going on? I'm going to pick your brain with because haven't been watching the news, but you're definitely a thinker. What's going on with fucking Ukraine? What's happening?
Ukraine. So right now, it's. I mean, a lot of the focus has been removed from Ukraine. Actually, it's always something new that's like taking over the news, But what people aren't watching right now with Ukraine is that Ukraine's actually being. They actually need more money. They need more support. They need more.
I know, man, but they're engulfed, man. Look at that! Look at that fucking map, man. They're engulfed by Russia, and it used to be part of Russia. So how do you resolve a problem that they used to belong to Russia? Now, am I saying it's right or wrong? I'm just saying it's like a losing battle, And we're choosing sides. It's like people think this guy Zelensky, whatever the fuck his name is, like he's this fucking angel. It's like there's an what's it called, oligarchy in the Ukraine, just like there is in Russia.
It's just pretty much pick your poison for the people that are out there.
Exactly, and war. These guys are talking about it. I see people on social media with a flag in the back holding an AK. I'm like, dude, if 50 fucking dudes go into your neighborhood and they're fucking loaded to the teeth, don't give a fuck what you say. You're gonna give up. People like to romanticize war. War's an ugly thing. And, they're not like Americans. They'll go in there and kill everybody. They're not like us. When we did patrols in Afghanistan, we couldn't shoot the 240.
Yeah.
240, no 240s in neighborhoods. Why? Because the fucking mud clots, right? So we have ROEs. Russians,
not so much.
They're different people, man.
I mean, they say they do, and their country's run by an ex-Spetsnaz guy. I mean, it's.
We already have atrocities, Frank.
I mean, do we? God, that's complicated because, like, I understand that we're a global economy. We can't go back to the pre-Eisenhower days. That's just not. It's not going to happen. We're a global economy. Whatever happens in Ukraine, it's going to affect our pockets. Whatever happens in Russia, whatever happens in China, whatever happens in Australia, it doesn't. If something major happens on the globe and we have any kind of relationship with that country, it's going to affect us. So now we the people, we're stuck with a dilemma. So do we want to send more 17, 18, 19-year-olds over there?
No, man, that's not going to happen.
Like if you're asking me my opinion, do I think we need to send people over there? No, I don't. If you're asking me, do we need to send more money? It's a Pandora's box because right now we have a completely different administration. I think that plays a big role in this even happening. I mean, this would not have happened in the previous administration, and without getting into the weeds of that, the only thing I can say about that is that, when you're like in a school, everyone knows who that big guy is. Or let's use Jiu Jitsu for example. You're not going to have, you have a blue belt walking down the hallway, friendly smiling guy. Then you got another brown belt, a smiling Elijah walking down the hall. You're not gonna go up to Elijah and as a white belt and shove him and start a fight with the guy if you know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the way it relates here is that it's people knew with the last administration what they could and couldn't get away with. They knew. So I mean, that's really what it boils down to is, would we be in this mess? And we'll never know. Would we be in this mess if the last person had been reelected? And now what do we do? I mean, at this point we just have to deal with it. And it sucks. It's a bad situation. You see gas prices right now.
Yeah, but isn't that because of the pipeline? From what I understand, the administration is blaming it on the Ukraine. But is the fact that we shut down the pipeline another reason why prices are so high?
We've become less energy sufficient as a country too, and that was upsetting when the Keystone XL project was hacked. When it was when they slashed it.
They look at Teslas, right? Teslas, the electric cars, but to make those batteries, I think it's like 60% petroleum.
They got a mine. So we're still, in the places where these things are being created. I mean, are they running on pure electricity, or what kind of natural resources are we messing with just to get that? I don't know.
Listen, Frank, there was a fucking Tesla on fire the other day. It took 4,500 gallons to fucking put that thing out.
Lithium, right?
I don't know what kind of fucking battery it is, but 4,500 fucking gallons? That's a lot of water, man.
Yeah, it's like trying to put out white phosphorus or something.
So, what's better? It's like they've been telling us for years that we're going to run out of petroleum. It's like, no, we're not going to run out. We may have it for the next 200 years. I don't know. We may have it for the next 100 to 300, 400 years. What is it?
I mean, and then you got to look at stuff, and you're 100% on point with that. And then you got the other dilemma is, how much does one of these vehicles cost right now? Can the middle American afford, a Tesla or what are those dorky cars, the Prius?
Yeah.
Can somebody afford one of those dorky things? Like it's
yeah.
And Teslas are cool, but I mean a Tesla, those things,
they're not cheap.
They're not cheap. That's what Brad Hamilton drives. He has a Tesla, that guy.
Yeah, he does have a Tesla.
He has a Tesla.
Well, I think my point is that what's really safe and what's really safe for the environment. It's like we continue to get on this debate about the United States and emissions and all that, but we're the only ones that do it. They don't do it in South America. They don't do it in Central America. They don't do it in Mexico. They don't do it in fucking they definitely don't do it in Africa.
Well, Frank, I think it's noise. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of that stuff is noise to distract us from a lot of the things that are going on. And, you know, a bunch of padded down bills that are going up to the president's desk and whatnot. It's. I mean, it's a mess. I live in the 14th district, by the way, over there where Marjorie Taylor Greene is.
Really?
And that's been an interesting thing, you know, because I'm a man of action. I like when something like we got to do something. We have to do something. We can't just sit in this situation. We need our representatives to represent. We need our president to preside.
So you're political then?
I like to think I'm a little political. By no stretch am I any kind of expert or anything like that. I do have opinions. I base a lot of my views and opinions off of my morality. Some people might agree with that, others might not. But I think at the end of the day, I think everybody thinks that their logic. I think everyone thinks that their opinion is logic, but everyone's logic is different. Every mind's a universe.
Well, I mean, I think you. I mean, it seems like you're a logical person. Most men are logical.
Try me.
You know, even like I said, this whole. It's you were saying it earlier about this is what they're throwing at us. That's why I don't watch the news, because I think it's just fucking complete garbage. This whole, like I said, you know, everybody's getting canceled. You know, obviously you heard about this thing with Johnny Depp, and it's like, at the end of the day, man, it's like, we keep talking about equality, but we're not. Equality doesn't exist, man. You can't have. It's like, okay, men and women are different, man. We're different. Right?
Absolutely.
It's. I don't know what if you know. I know it's feminism. If they want equality, how come they're not fucking protesting fucking plumbers or ditch diggers? Where's the equality in that? Huh?
See, this is where I'm gonna play. I'm not gonna say devil's advocate because I'm not gonna call women the devil.
I don't know.
But I'll say I'm gonna play the other side's advocate, I guess, or whatever. I think that there's different kinds of feminism. So I have OCD, so I like everything's compartments, everything's stacked neatly on my shelves, and okay. I don't believe that's just feminism. Like, that's too blanket for me. I mean, you have feminists you have conservative feminists. There's a lot of amazing conservative women out there that are about women's rights, but they have the mentality of their rights end where someone else's begin, and vice versa. That other person's rights end where that person's begins, and I think that's kind of the difference between a far left-leaning feminist versus a right conservative-leaning feminist. You know, the left-leaning feminist is very, like scorched earth. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm going to get my rights. It doesn't matter if it affects you or anybody else or my neighbors or even the girl next door. Didn't matter until you started having females in the NCAA that were starting to compete against transgender people, which is another topic. I mean, it's a shit show right now. Everything's a shit show.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like the world is completely upside down right now. It's like, it's the same thing that, the wage gap, which has been a myth since the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is what this is what the media pushes out, man. They say it that for every dollar that a man makes, a woman gets 70 cents. Mm-hmm. Well, that topples like a fucking deck of cards, because if I'm a capitalist, why don't I just hire women? See, that's why it's a lie. It's a myth. It's not. It's based on capitalism. Capitalism is about performance. It has nothing to do with gender. And the fact of the matter is, women, they've done these egalitarian societies. Mm-hmm. In Europe, to where they basically, instead of going to more of, like, let's say, engineering, mathematics, because you can do whatever you want, women tend to go to those more female roles, sociology, arts, things to do with people, because women are about people.
And they're amazing at it.
And they're amazing at it. And men are about machine.
We're very hands-on. We're mechanical. We're things make, modular things make sense. That's why we like guns. That's why we like cars.
Yes.
That's why you see a lot of male doctors. The human body's modular. Everything's modular, and I think that's kind of like everything makes sense. Like everything can break down. Okay, like this does this and this works this way. So yeah, I can definitely see that.
But that's what I'm saying. Is how can you have equality when you can't? It's like the fact of the matter is, like, why is it that I know these groups are talking about men and women should be paid the same as far as like professional let's say the WNBA in the
Okay.
NBA. The fact of the matter is,
Nobody
watches it. Nobody watches it. And this is what it's gonna take, Frank. It's gonna take a dude that's gonna go into the WNBA and he's literally gonna put his balls on a chick's fucking head as he's dunking over them. You know, because they don't dunk either. So it's like it's just upside down, man. And that's why, like I said, I don't listen to the news because it's like you're telling me something and I'm like, I just don't believe it.
And see, inequality. The thing about equality too is that that's being used as a blanket statement because I think that there's some areas where. Well, let me ask you this: during the Vietnam War, who was being drafted, males or females?
Yeah, exactly. Males.
Look at the numbers of who was coming home in caskets. It was males.
Well, they call it male privilege, Frank. That's what some feminists call it.
No.
What male privilege?
We gonna die for our country first, or
yeah.
like I get it. Like it's messed up. But I will say that there's a lot of great, like, because I want to emphasize that there are a lot of good women out there that are against this kind of garbage mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They're very much about being strong. I mean, we see a lot of those females in the Jiu Jitsu community.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of. I mean, there's so many females that they're inspiring. They have a good mentality. They have they know in Jiu Jitsu you learn that you have to earn your keep.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do, every minute that you survive in a role, it's earned. I mean, it's not given to you, and I think that's how Jiu Jitsu, it actually correlates into everything in our lives. I think.
Well, I'm not trying. Listen, man, this podcast, I'm not demonizing women. I love women.
No, I get it. No, I don't get it.
Like I said, I told you, my ex-wife, my business partner, I get a lot of advice from her. So I don't take nothing away from women. I just want us to be more real about. There are differences. We are different.
The bad is definitely going to always outweigh the good because you're going to see a lot of. I mean, I will say that the bad ones are always a lot more vocal, so that's why we hear a lot more about them. And it's then you got the ones that are walking the walk, the ones that are silently doing it. Which even as men, that's what we take serious. When you see a guy that's he's not doing all this, he's walking the walk, he's living it. Like when you're taken a lot more serious when you do what you have to do quietly.
That's right. Well, because we have to build ourselves from the very beginning. We are not valuable. Nobody cares about Frank when you were fucking 18 years old, right? Yeah. But let's say if you were 18 years old and you were a female, you're attractive, you go to a club,
oh man,
get in for free drinks. You see what I'm saying? But see, we can't complain about that because as men, it's like, nobody's ever bought me a drink, So there are differences, right?
This reminds me. So when I was in Buford, there's this female sergeant that ended up becoming a really good friend of mine, and we used to go to this bar called Cowboys and Indians, and she would say, all right, she was a very, very pretty lady, and she would say, we're just good friends, platonic, and she would say, all right, what do you want to drink? And she would go get these guys that's what it reminded me when you were talking about these free drinks. She would go and get these drinks from these poor guys and bring me one, and she'd have one, and that was how we did our thing. But it's there's a lot of inequality, and it goes both ways, and I think a lot of people don't realize that it's I think we do have equality, but I think it's in different areas. I think we have to break things down more, because if you don't break things down, you're not going to see where women have it better in one area, men have it better in another, and I don't believe in that wage. Like I'm on the same page as you with the whole wage gap thing, but it's like the military. I mean, it's males get the short end of the stick. I mean, that's fact.
Well, when I was in the Army, when I was getting out, they had just let women into the combat arms, meaning infantry. But before that, man, that stuff was really not an issue because we were not around women.
That's tough.
Not around women, we're just around dudes. So, like, sexual harassment, that doesn't exist.
Oh, man.
You're dealing with a bunch of guys,
And I've been around.
Listen, and I know for a fact that the guys that were, like, let's say, we'll just call it the Pogue units. The Pogue units, they were intermingled.
Yeah.
They were having sex, the private was having sex with the fucking platoon sergeant.
Yep.
And we'd hear that all the time. And for us, we was like, what the fuck? This is totally weird. But listen, that's what happens when male and females meet. They're gonna have sex.
You can't avoid it. It's nature, which it's so ass backwards. I think a lot of it too is just to placate going back to the whole feminist movement, it's to placate a lot of the people that are loud and have influence, monetary influence. You placate them by giving them what they want. I mean, you saw I'm sure a few years ago you saw the Ranger School thing where females are trying to go through the Ranger program. You saw it. You see they're trying to integrate the Marine Corps boot camp. Heck, did you see what they did to our uniforms?
Oh, they fucked them up.
I was talking to somebody the other day. The Marine Corps dress blues. The females are wearing they're wearing like a pseudo version of the male one. It almost looks like the male dress blues, and to me, it's just like, it's not that I'm against it, more so than it's like it came off as too forced. Like it wasn't natural. There was nothing about it that was natural. The Marine Corps is going to change. It's been here since before this country was a country.
Mm-hmm.
Same for the Army and the Navy, but I don't know, man. It's the world's changing. The world's changing, and I think the mentality that I've recently taken, and again, Jiu Jitsu's helped me out with it, is I kind of just let people do their own thing. It's I still have my beliefs. I'm still firm on what I believe. And I live my life the way that I believe I should live it. But this goes back to what I said before, that my rights, begin where someone else's end, and vice versa. Like my rights should never interfere with yours, and vice versa. Like it should never interfere. Like if you want to own firearms, or if I want to own firearms, and the other person doesn't like it, well, shit, don't buy one then. Don't buy a damn thing. It's that simple.
It's like what you were saying about how somebody was vilifying Christians over this Roe versus Wade on your Facebook war. It's like.
She said it was a she. She said she posted on a friend of mine who also practices jiu-jitsu. She said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. She said, "This is why people hate Christians." And I initially thought that she was talking about herself too. I kind of like sped read it, which my bad, but. I said, the message still applies. I said, these people are pretty much, you can't, one adult cannot hold another adult accountable for how they feel about a religious group. Like that you're giving somebody too much control when you do that. It's like, if we want to get into religion, which everyone believes something different, but if I believe in God, that's got nothing to do with you. Like you not liking God, or you not liking God, or me liking God, or me believing in doctrine and certain Bible doctrine, New Testament, Old Testament, it should not it shouldn't affect how you feel. Like me agreeing with this Roe versus Wade thing being like now abortions are supposed to be illegal. With this being like, with this happening, with this major decision happening, me agreeing with that, how the hell does that affect someone else? What does it matter? I'm not the guy that made the decision.
But I'm saying now, is it going to be like basically federal law with all 50 states?
It's a can of worms now, isn't it?
No, but that's what I'm saying. But I think it's going to eventually go to the state. I think this would maybe possibly be the beginning. I mean, we have red and blue states for a reason. So let's say if you are pro-life, pro-choice, and you want to have an abortion, let's say it's legal in California, well then go to California and go get an abortion. Right?
It should. I mean, it should be up to the states. I mean, if we want to get like in line with the traditions of this country.
I don't think it's the end of it, man. It's not the end of it.
It never is.
So it's. Listen, I don't know. Like I said, I just learned about it fucking today. But a couple of days ago they banned the Juul. The Juul, that little cigarette.
I saw
they
that.
They banned it.
Yeah.
So, really, all I'm doing, man, is I focus on my businesses. I try not to get involved too much in politics. I mean, obviously, I like to talk about geopolitics and what's going on. I want to know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you how I'm thinking about stuff. But yeah, I try not to get too into the media because they're evil, man. You saw this whole Corona. I mean, what do you think about Corona?
Oh man, I think I like to think that I'm somewhere in the middle. Told people this before too. I think that the coronavirus is real, but I don't think that it was. I think it was a weaponized virus. I think that, and we're kind of starting to get on the line of conspiracies on my part, but this is really what I think. I do think it's real. But it's.
I mean, people actually died. But...
So many people had to gain from this. There was a lot going on. I don't know if you remember back when the coronavirus first popped up in Asia. They were going through, they were I think Taiwanese marching through the streets. I don't know if it was in China or Taiwan, because Taiwan's in conflict right now too, with China. But there was a lot of people, a lot of their citizens were marching around with American flags, Trump flags. Like they were like, we want the same. We want democracy. We want Trump. We want a Trump over here. We want
Yeah.
we want to be separate, you know. And lo and behold, what happened as soon as the coronavirus, you know, was set loose out there? All those people went away, and this kind of goes back into, you know, you're kind of going into biological weapons now. You know, like, to me, I'm highly suspicious. I'm highly suspicious of what the coronavirus is and what it was. Because, I mean, we know that coronaviruses have always existed. It's a sniffle. It's a cold. Okay?
But how many people die a year from the cold? How many people die
Probably
just
a
from
lot.
getting a shot? But they do, it does happen. Now, listen, people that were diabetic, overweight, they were getting the corona. But the problem was, it's like you have cancer and you get the corona. You don't die of cancer. You just died of the corona.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, which one was it? Did you die of cancer? You had cancer, terminal cancer, and you had the corona. No, you died of fucking cancer.
Well, we know what was happening with money at that point.
But that's what I'm saying. But the numbers are all fucking. They're all fucked up
Diluted,
now. So I don't really believe anything. I mean, it's like the whole thing of, you've seen fucking people in a car driving with a fucking mask on. I saw fucking LeBron James, who's a fucking billionaire, driving a $300,000 fucking Ferrari with a mask on.
With a
I'm
mask
like,
on.
The world is. People are fucking retarded, man. I really, like, seriously, like, when in the restaurants. You get sat down, you have to wear your mask.
Are they still doing that?
I don't know. It used to be in some parts. When they sit you down, then you can take your mask off.
I felt for it for a while.
What is the point?
I was.
It's fucking pointless, man. It's fucking pointless. It doesn't make sense. If one person has the corona in a closed environment, supposedly everybody's gonna get infected.
But then you got, and I'm not saying do I think that the mask could reduce the spread? Yeah. Do I think it's going to stop the spread? No. Do I think it could reduce some of it? Yeah. I think for me, and this is going back to the military mentality, there's always that one dickhead that ruins it for everyone. And what I mean by that
the
is...
Blue Falcon. That's what that motherfucker
it's
is.
the guy that has the damn virus or is sick with it, which, you know, they're probably not going to die. I've had it twice. I'm not going to die from it, knock on wood. But I'm not going to die. Like all jokes aside, I'm not going to die from it. But this dickhead is going out and sneezing, coughing, knows they have it. They know all this stuff's going on. They're not making any effort to wash their hands, to wear a mask. Like, stay your ass home.
Yeah, but
Like this shit would have been over with a long time ago. So I'm I like to think I'm in the middle, because I think the left has gone nuts with this coronavirus thing, but I think the right has too. I really think
I don't trust either, man. I'm right in the middle. I don't trust either.
Like, I think the mask thing. Honestly, if they had shut everything down because we shut down for a long time, a lot of places, not everywhere, but a lot of places shut down for like almost a year, and it's now, hypothetically speaking, if they had shut stuff down for, let's say, I don't know, 2 weeks, like, everybody was just kind of like, do you remember when 9/11 happened?
Of course.
Nobody flew, nobody did anything, nobody bitched about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was civic duty. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops. Everyone stays home, you know, and you know, obviously it's not that easy, but could we have eradicated this? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's criminal, the fact that so many people were put out of business, you know. And then you got Nancy Pelosi telling people they need to stay indoors while she's fucking going to got her hair done. Somebody
I saw that.
So the hypocrisy, you know, she's worth millions.
People got rich. People that support Pfizer got rich, and you know, like, and I'm with you. Like, you're bringing up a lot of valid points. I'm not above saying, like, yeah, you're right. You do have a point there, because I like to get all angles. I like to think about all these things. Heck, we had nothing but time to think when a lot of these things when this was peaked. Jeez, man, it's.
I mean, we could go from topic to topic. I mean, what about the fucking pullout of Afghanistan? Those people should fucking go to jail for fucking war crimes.
The way that we did it was wrong.
I mean, you could get a fucking corporal to fucking do that, a better fucking job than that shit. I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. First of all, you don't tell the enemy you're leaving. Second of all, you have to lead forces there. You can lead special operations. You could have the Marine Corps and Army, which we've always done anyways. We could just fucking
leave an element.
Yeah, and then just to keep them fucking ready, keep those fucking units deploying. They want to deploy anyways.
I think the problem with all these wars is we play, and this is where I might make some enemies, but I think the way that we play war sometimes, and I say that respectfully, is that we're playing by a lot of rules. It's if we went in there Roman army style, did the job. So we have this mission. It's a righteous mission, you know, there to free the people catch Bin Laden, who ended up being in Pakistan, or at least later on was in Pakistan.
Yeah.
But we go in there, stomp someone's guts out, get the hell out. Once their guts are stomped out, let them do their thing. But what happens is anytime, and I'm sure you know this, anytime you have a power pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
and you remove that top power, and you don't fill it properly, you're gonna get a power vacuum. It's going to happen. You're gonna get blowback too. That's what happened in Iraq. It's what happened. Like I believe there was WMDs there, but
Yeah, but Iraq has something to do with, you heard of, remember, CPA order number 1 and 2, the debathification of Iraq. That was Paul Bremer's fault, because what you're doing is everybody that was a Ba'athist, you fire. You're talking about the entire infrastructure of Iraq. So those people become your insurgents.
which those were the Sunnis,
Well, you're the army, special forces.
and they put some Kurds in charge, and you pretty much got the guy.
It was like 70,000 people, Frank. It was fucking big number of people. That's a lot of insurgents. So that's American Marines, American soldiers were getting fucking blown out because of that happened. Because of that fucking retard, Bremer, passing that law. It doesn't, and you're toppling the entire infrastructure of a country.
But we know who let that happen. I hate saying this because I kind of liked the guy at the time, but who was Bremer's boss?
It was.
He fucked up. And do you remember there was a mass exodus of army and military generals that were.
I mean, that was one of the worst things that you could do to that country, man. But like I said, us pulling out of, we should never pull out. Listen, people can fucking hate the United States all day long, but we have Korea, we have South Korea, we have Germany, right? We have Central America, we have South America. I mean, people look up to us, man. People want to be Americans. And if anything, we shed light in Afghanistan because dude, we were fucking in the Shamora Valley. People had fucking phones. I had a sergeant fucking talking to his wife about a softball game in a combat zone in Afghanistan. So people now have the internet. People in Afghanistan have the internet, and they see how other people live around the world.
They're out of biblical times, for lack of better terms.
They're out of the box, man. So they can see there are better things around there. So if anything, we've opened up hope, man. There's hope for those people.
I mean, but it's things are going to shit again.
They are going to shit again, but yeah, I know. But like I said, it's like these fucking supposedly intellectuals, highly fucking intelligent. That's what they keep telling me. Dude, I fucking barely graduated. I didn't even graduate high school. I got my GEDs from the fucking military because I was enlisting. It's like these fucking people are idiots. Like, why did we fucking pull out of Afghanistan first of all? We should have never pulled out. We should have kept forces there, just like we should have kept forces in Iraq, because leadership, that's what we're there for, man. We're leaders. We're leaders. We're in the fucking fight, When you're fucking in the fight, when you're in combat, you're looking at your fucking NCOs, you're looking at your captains.
There's just one problem with that, though. My big problem, which hypothetically speaking, I think that it would be great to do that, but you run into problems when you have the leadership above that leadership. When you have the brass, when you have politicians. If I can't tell you to go out. I can't say, hey Frank, go do a job and tie your hands. Go work on a car, but you're gonna have to do it with your hands behind your back. So figure it out. How do we do that? Because now we're gonna get a bunch of 18, 19, 20-something-year-old men and women coming home in boxes. More. We're gonna have more.
Listen, that's true too, man. We've been fighting but that's what this side of me now tells me. It's like we've had enough. We've been fighting wars for fucking the last 20 years.
We're tired.
Maybe it's time for us to just be isolationist, like before.
That's not gonna happen. We're a global economy.
Well, I'm talking about when it comes to military forces. I mean, right now, I guess you could call it a proxy war because we are we are aiding Ukraine. We're giving them weapons. Right? I'm talking about, American boots, American Marines, American soldiers. I think we need to get away from that. Right? I mean, what do you think?
I think that we need to pick and choose our battles. I think, how is this affecting us? What are the repercussions of having a Russian Ukraine, or Ukraine being a staying sovereign but being a Russian puppet? Like, what are the ramifications of it? That's what needs to be looked at first. Is this worth the battle? Is Vietnam giving us any issues right now? Has Vietnam given us any issues post-Vietnam War?
Vietnam, it doesn't.
They're communist.
Vietnam continues to be a communist country.
But how does Vietnam affect us?
Mm-hmm.
Shit, we do business with Vietnam. We get seafood from Vietnam. We have, I mean, there's.
No, listen, you're right, man.
It's so we have to pick our battles. There's don't get me wrong. I am not some communist sympathizer by any stretch, because I think it's bullshit. I think it doesn't work. Communism does not work.
Mm.
But we have to pick our battles.
Listen, at the same time, we could say that about Vietnam, but it's we won every major engagement in Vietnam. As a matter of fact, the Tet Offensive, that was a big loss to the North Vietnamese. But it was the media again that said that we had lost the war. It's like, no, we hadn't lost the war. We never did lose the war. We won every fucking major engagement in Vietnam. We did. Listen, dude, we could go into a rabbit hole. So many fucking rabbit holes. It's not even funny. The fact that we lost 56,000 Americans, it's very, very sad. But at the same time, you remember that after we left, Pol Pot killed about 2 million Vietnamese, right? So maybe after all that American blood and sacrifice in Vietnam, maybe if we would have stuck it out, maybe it'd be like fucking Korea today, and Vietnam would be a democracy, or like Japan,
or if we'd stayed in Korea, even like full on just committed.
That
there's so many hypotheticals of what ifs, what shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Heck, we weren't even gonna commit to Vietnam until what happened to Kennedy happened. So I mean, there's another rabbit hole. I mean, there's so many factors.
I know, man, but look, we are as young men. I'm 49. How old are you?
37.
All right, so like I said, like for me, is just the sacrifice, man, of our guys, of our men and women. And then you got fucking Biden or whoever, all these fucking politicians now, they got like 5-6 deferments. Cheney got a deferment from Korea because he says he didn't have time for fucking Korea.
They couldn't give two farts about us. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like it's you. If you tie the military's hands, all we're doing is sending people. It's a death sentence. Mm-hmm. It's a death sentence. Do I think that the mission's noble? Absolutely. I'm 100% all about I'm all about us having gone to Afghanistan and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But the minute they tied our hands, they tied the general's hands, they tied the command's hands. That was it. And people died because of it. And now, whose life do I value more? I value an American's life. So it's
for sure.
It's tough, man. God, like I hate it because it's like there's no simple answer to any of this. There's no simple because I can tell you the idealist in me will say, fuck yeah, let's go over there and let's kick ass and take names. Mm. But at what cost? And who's going to be the next bumbling politician that comes in there and fucks all that hard work up and all those sacrifices up? Mm. Who's the guy that's gonna insult the captain, Sean L. Brox, or all the other Marines, soldiers, sailors, and airmen that didn't make it back?
For sure.
To be honest, those guys mean more to me, even the ones I didn't meet. And there's a metric F ton of those guys that didn't, guys and girls that didn't come back. And that to me, that's. I'm not saying that the mission, in its basic intent, is wrong, but the execution,
it's shit.
It was shit, and people died because of it. People go out on Memorial Day and they make their hot dogs and their burgers. You know how many people I've met that are my age that didn't even go over there, didn't even serve in the military? It's astonishing.
I think about it all the time, man.
It's astonishing. Yeah, they were making their burgers and hot dogs, blowing up fireworks and doing their thing. Which that's cool, but there's no perspective. There's no perspective. My perspective is, if I'm out there making a burger, I'm doing it for the guy or girl that didn't come home. I'm doing it for the guy that was 18 and never got married, that maybe had his high school sweetheart waiting for him. I'm doing it for the girl that had her 2 babies waiting for her to come home, one day and tuck them in at bed at night and they didn't make it back. That's who I care about.
Well, and that's why we owe it to them, the guys that came back from the war, to try and to make a difference in this life, and to talk about the war, and to that it's. Listen, man, I thought I was gonna fucking miss the war, man. I was like, man, I'm gonna miss this fucking war. Fuck, it lasted for fucking 20 years. So I look at people all the time. I look at all these fucking kids all the time, man, talking about what they don't have. It's like, you're out of your mind, man. Like, we live in this great country. Like, and they think they're revolutionaries. It's like, you're not a revolutionary.
Well, Facebook revolutionaries.
You go to any other country, they'll fucking pick you up, they'll kill you, and then they'll pick up your family, and then they'll kill your family too.
They'll probably kill every generation for a while.
Yeah,
They will make your family name extinct.
Yeah, but people live here. They think that they're like their next Malcolm X is like, dude, you're not shit, dude. You haven't done shit. You haven't sacrificed at all.
What I wanted to say was, because we talked about the 22 earlier, and there's people that are going to watch this. I think what I wanted to say was that, like, for those guys and girls that are struggling with those thoughts, you know, they need like, if you need perspective, it's there's people that didn't come home. That's why we're celebrating their lives by doing the things that they never got to do. That's what we're supposed to do. That's your purpose, to raise a family. There's no. I think a lot of people get out of the military. I think that's why there's such a high suicide rate. I don't know. I could be wrong. There's a multitude of reasons, but I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people have this gap in, like, belonging to something. You know, it's like they say. You know, everyone pretty much stayed out there, even though we're here physically. But, you know, they do have a purpose. You know, people like you have a purpose here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a perspective. So, and I just really hope that people understand that's why we celebrate Memorial Day. It should definitely be something to be celebrated, because we're living for them.
Mm-hmm.
We're celebrating for them. We're doing the things they didn't get to.
That's a great point, man.
And I'm able to do those things because of the guys and the girls that didn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, man. Well, shit, man. I think that should cut it, man. We could probably do this for a couple hours. We're gonna have to do this again, man, because you're definitely in that realm of people that are, you're using your brain, man, and that's what I want, man. I want Americans to fucking start making sense out of some of this stuff, and I think that your military experience, your Jiu Jitsu, the person that you are today, dude, we need more people like you.
Yeah, like
to
you.
speak
Appreciate
up.
it.
You know.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for being on the podcast, man. And we're definitely gonna have to do this again, man.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know? So, all right, guys. So for the old breed, we are